Hey everyone, it's Ryan here, and today I'm going to give you the complete guide to business sales, the hidden role that's helping everyday Australians make over $100,000 in their first year and over $250,000 within 5 years of starting. There's absolutely no prior sales experience required or uni degrees for this as well. I've split today into 5 key parts to help you understand. The first part is unpacking how Australians are making $100,000 in their first year working in sales. The second part is helping you understand why business sales allows you to be paid so much. The third one is looking at what you'll be doing in your business sales role once you first start. And the final one is the path to be making over $250,000 within your first 5 years of starting. And I'll provide some real examples that we have as well. Let's dive into how you can make $100,000 in your first year. So you may be thinking, aren't most sales roles only paid on commission only? The simple answer to that is actually no. And to be honest, if you're getting paid commission only, you probably wouldn't be making $100,000 a year. So when it comes to business sales, unlike most roles you might find that are office-based, there are 2 key components to pay. The first component is your base salary, which is paid regardless of whether or not you perform. The second part is your commission, and that is a variable bonus that comes from either a set amount per meeting booked or a certain percentage of deal size. Now, if you found that second part a little bit confusing, I'll explain a bit more a bit later. Diving a bit deeper though, here are the current ranges that we are seeing in the market at the moment. For base salary, we normally see anywhere between $55,000 to $75,000 per year at our employers for entry-level business sales roles. On terms of commission, on top of that, we normally see anywhere between around $10,000 to $50,000 per year, depending on the types of customers and the products that you're selling. Where that 100,000 number comes from is a simple term called on-target earnings. Your on-target earnings simply equals your base salary, which you'll get, as well as your projected commission that you receive just from hitting target for that period of time. For pretty much all sales roles though, the commission component is actually uncapped. So you can well be on the path to be earning over 6 figures within your first year by overperforming in your role. A hot tip as well from me, if you're interviewing for business sales roles, make sure to ask the employer what the average quota attainment was for the reps at that company, and that'll give you a better idea of actually how many people are achieving that on-target earnings figure. To summarize though, you can make over $100,000 in your first year in business sales by having a role that has around a $65,000 a year base salary, as well as expected commission just from hitting your targets of around $35,000 to $40,000 per year. Now, let's explain why we've tacked on business before sales. Taking a step back, there are 2 types of companies in this world. There are businesses that sell to consumers, and then there are businesses that sell to businesses. So B2C or B2B. Now that we have the acronyms down pat, I can now start using them. B2C is way more common, and it's often those charity sales or retail sales roles that you will be most familiar with. These are where these commission-only type positions actually arise because the deal size is often much smaller and companies can't justify paying an expensive base salary of around $65,000 to $75,000 for these roles. On the flip side, you have B2B type companies, which you previously never would have interacted with unless you've actually run your own business before. Deal sizes here can go anywhere from $5,000 contracts for the whole year, anywhere into the millions of dollars a year when you're working with ASX listed companies. Because of the larger deal size and the recurring contract value over a whole year, businesses are able to justify paying a base salary because they more so understand how much money this specific sales rep is bringing in versus the B2C example, which is always just one-off transactions. Now, I know what you're saying, Ryan, but B2B companies, where do they actually come from? So I'll give you a really quick example. Let's say Channel 9. I'm sure you've heard of this company. They have around 4,200 employees in Australia. And you might be thinking, well, don't they all just work in marketing or production? I'll give you a sneaky hint. You're partially correct. I'm just going to pull up a quick LinkedIn search here, and you'll see there's actually around 400 employees that work in sales across Australia and New Zealand, in Channel 9. Now you might be asking me, but what do they actually sell? And the answer to that is those ad spaces that you see when you're watching the telly at night after work. It's highly unlikely for, let's say, an ASX listed company such as BHP Billiton who wants to advertise during the NRL to just self-serve sign up during the website and spend $100,000 on a 30-second ad space. More importantly, they would rather actually speak to someone in that company and see if they can either work out a custom discount or find a way that they can have a better ad slot for that type of money as well. So to summarize, we've learned how everyday Australians are making $100,000 in their first year in business sales. We've now gone through and learned what types of companies you can work at and the types of products that you can sell that allow you to earn that much money. Now, let's actually walk through what you'll be doing in your business sales job. As we mentioned before, business sales deals can go anywhere from $5,000 a year to in the millions of dollars a year. If a business is spending that much money, it won't be as simple as making one phone call and getting them to sign up on the spot. So instead, taking a step back, people need to go through what we call a 7-step sales process to actually be able to get the necessary approval and building a strong business case to get that approval throughout that whole process to sign that deal. Now you might be thinking, 7 steps, that's quite a lot of things. Do I have to do them all in one role? Now, for some companies, while that might be something that is true, what we see is most of our employers split that 7-step sales process into 2 different roles based on seniority. The first role, which is more junior, is often called a business development representative or a business sales representative as well. This is the role that you'll be working in first when you transition into business sales, and it's what we call an opportunity generating role. So you won't actually be closing any deals or any business within your first 12 months. It's actually more so being able to outreach, prospect, qualify, and book a meeting for a more senior person to do the more closing work. This is where, when I mentioned earlier, you have the meetings booked, commission paid, because it's unfair for you to have commission paid based on a percentage of revenue when you're not actually responsible for closing that target. As for the more senior role, we'll touch on that in the next section. So when it comes then to actually what you'll be doing day to day, let's say here's a nice pie chart of 100% of your time. What we see is you spend around 20% of your role doing something that's a bit more strategic, helping to identify the right contacts in your account and the right businesses in the industries that you sell to. This is a term that we call prospecting. You would then spend about 70% of your time either on phone calls, LinkedIn, or email to get creative on how to actually reach out to these contacts that you previously prospected at the right companies that you're targeting. The final 10% is being able to keep organized and on top of your pipeline, and that is by doing admin, often in a customer relationship management software such as HubSpot or Salesforce. So don't worry, at most companies, they won't just throw you in the deep end with 0 support and you'll have to be closing from day to day. By splitting your role into something that's a bit lower stakes, where you're just generating opportunities, it's a really great opportunity to actually just learn a bit more about the craft of sales itself, and often learn from someone that's a bit more senior that has done your role before in terms of how you can improve. So to summarize, we've learned a bit more about how everyday Australians are making over 6 figures in the first year of their role. We've then spoken a bit more about the types of companies and the products that you can sell in business sales. We've just spoken about what you'll actually be doing in your first 1 to 2 years as a business development representative. Now, let's talk about what the path looks like to be making over $250,000 per year in your first 5 years in business sales. After 12 to 24 months in a business sales position, you can either go down the sales career progression track or the non-sales career progression track. Now, to be on the path to be making over $250,000 in your first 5 years, you'll need to stay down the sales path, but more specifically, the individual contributor type roles. Remember that 7-step sales process? Well, the natural progression follows that general cycle. So after starting in that opportunity generating role in your first 12 to 24 months, if you do well, you'll then be promoted into either an account executive / business development manager role, which is actually closing those types of opportunities that were generated by the business development representatives as well. As a result, your commissions will change from a certain figure based on each meeting that you book to a certain percentage of the deal size that you actually just closed. So let's say you're making 6% of commission for the amount of deals that you close. In a normal account executive for a small to medium business segment, you can be earning anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 per year if you're closing deals that are on the smaller side. But just imagine if you're working with ASX listed companies where your deals are in the millions of dollars per year, just imagine 6% of those deals going straight to your bank account. Now, you're probably saying, Ryan, are you just making all this stuff up? The answer to that is no. Now, I'm going to take you through Will Lear's example, who we spoke to a couple of years ago about his career progression track. He graduated university in 2018 and had only worked in hospitality. After that, he started at HubSpot, and in the span of about 8 years, he went all the way from a small to medium business segment BDR all the way up to an SMB account executive where he was closing deals, meaning he had about 8 promotions in 5 years' time. Now he's working at MongoDB as a senior corporate or enterprise account executive, working with some of the largest companies in Australia, where his commission is now based on a certain percentage of deal size there, which shows that it's completely possible without having any prior sales or corporate-based degree experience. If you're really curious about this, I'd recommend searching up enterprise account executives on LinkedIn and seeing how quickly they've been promoted to unlock these types of pay. That was a lot. But to recap today, we've gone through a bit more about how you can make over $100,000 in your first year in business sales. We've then learned what types of companies you can work at and the products that you'll actually be selling in your first 1 to 2 years. We've then covered a bit more about what you'll actually be doing in the role, and then finally outlining the path to be making upwards of $250,000 within 5 years of starting in business sales.